Hello, I hope you enjoy listening to this true story. I suggest that you don't listen if you're eating or if you're under 15 years old because we have told the story based on reality. The story of the master butcher. On the morning of December 10th, 2002, the police entered someone's house and found some meat in the freezer. Meat that did not belong to any animal. Armin Moose is arrested. Hansel and Gretel are walking towards the forest. They have lost their way. They feel a sweet smell from far away. They see a big building with a gable roof, which was made with chocolate, cake, and cream. They start eating when they are captured. The old woman decided that she must eat human meat in order to enjoy life. Armin was also sure that this meat must be something different, for which blind old woman built a chocolate palace in the middle of the forest. Armin was a 42-year-old computer engineer from Germany. He seemed to have a normal and sweet childhood in a large two-story rural house with a gable roof. Old and white walls, full of windows in the middle of a large field with few but old trees grew up between horses and nature. He showed signs of abnormal personality when he was 8 years old, when his father left him and his mother. One day, his father took the money for the documents, got into the car, and left. Armin's last picture of his father is when he's running after his father's car to ask when he will return. But his father never came back. Armin tried to hide his loneliness and drown in his fantasy world. So he made an imaginary friend to be with him. But this was not enough. In his opinion, this friend existed. But he was not a part of Armin. It was a part of separation from him that comes with him. Herman was looking for a way to bring this friend with him more, that is, to make him a part of himself. Armenian mother was a sick and strict woman. She did not allow her child to choose friends and play with anyone. In this situation, the best way, according to Herman, is to eat his imaginary friend, Frank. So, in his first attempt, he was successful in eating Frank and digesting it in himself. Until his mother's death, he apparently lived a normal life, but in reality he was under severe domination by his mother. In his adulthood, his mother controlled Armin and did not allow him to approach anyone. Loving and being loved meant nothing to Armin's mother. Armin was bisexual and had relationships with many gay men when he was serving in the army. He was a polite and respectful person who always treated his neighbors well. No one had seen anything unusual in his behavior. In 1999, Armin's mother died. Now there was nothing to control him and humiliate him or to distance him from the society, and it was time for him to search for his treasure. He started to build a room under the ground so that no sound can pass through it. He thickened all the roof and wall with wood. The safe room of Armin was ready. He needed to share the things in his mind with others, but he was afraid of the real world of people's judgment. His mother had never allowed him to communicate with real people, so he had to find another way. The dark web was the right space to fill his lonely time. A part of the deep web that is kept hidden from the public, this inaccessible part of the dark web is a safe place for illegal activities such as murder and murder. He was looking for sites that could satisfy his cravings. In the meantime, he found a series of sites and chat rooms related to gluttony. Armin was looking for someone who would be willing to eat voluntarily in different chat rooms, so he posted a fixed advertisement in a forum related to eating people called Cafe Adam Cora. With the user Frankie, a few people gave a positive answer to the advertisement, but none of them took action. For them, this matter was fun and a joke, or they were afraid at the last moment and pulled back. Even once, one of the same people who had given the answer would meet in person and make an appointment, but at the last moment the volunteer would give up. Armin did not insist in any way. He wanted a real volunteer, a man who wants to be eaten from the bottom of his heart. Until one day the brand enthusiastically responds positively to his ad. The text of the ad was like this: Hello, are you between 18 and 25 years old? Do you have a healthy and good body? Do you want to end your life and be killed? Come to me. I will do this for you. I will slaughter you and make a steak out of your delicious meat. If you like, send me your age, size, and weight, preferably with a photo. Brands was a gay engineer from Berlin who lived with his boyfriend. According to his boyfriend, Adam was successful, but the prosecutor later says that Brandt suffers from severe depression. He had to hide his sexual orientation in his childhood and youth, and this has caused him suffering in his life. Armin tells the reporters that Brandt was a charming and lovable man. He was kind and a gentleman who spoke well. These signs were similar to my 34-year-old fantasies. After several months of relationship, through email and detailed planning of what was going to happen on March 9th, 2001, they meet two people at a train station in Rothenburg. Now review this story in the middle of this. His mother posted 2,000 photos on the internet in 1999. She was busy preparing his blood and finding volunteer food for this whole year. Armin goes to find Brandt by car and they return to Armin's house together. They don't talk much on the way, they talk to each other. Both are full of excitement waiting to reach home. When they get there and park, they go straight to the living room. Brandt asks while sitting on the floral sofa with embossed patterns, "What are we having for dinner tonight?" Armin says, "You," with a big smile that shows all his straight teeth and even his golden Asian teeth. Armin brings 20 sleeping pills and half a bottle of syrup, pain reliever, and alcohol for Brandt, and he eats it with enthusiasm. Armin wanted Brandt to feel less pain, and he said to himself that I don't like to be unconscious. I want to participate in this dinner live and see you eat me. Before Brandt gets completely confused, they go to the basement of the house. This is the same room that they spent a year building. Before anything, they experience long romantic sex together. Then Megan decided to start with a small piece because they were both hungry and didn't want it too soon. So, with Brandt's suggestion, they go to his genitals. Brandt asks Armin to cut that part with his teeth without using any tools. But since Adam's jaws are not strong, Armin goes to the knife with bloody mouth and cuts that part with a knife. Brandt shouts for 30 seconds and suddenly becomes silent and says that it doesn't hurt much anymore. Both of them start to eat that piece raw. until Brand says in a muffled voice, "Please cook, I can't eat well." Armin cuts a few pieces of Brand's body fat and fries them, but because it was his first time, the food burns and he has to give the burnt food to his dog. He goes back to Brand and says that the amount of bleeding is so great that the blood is splattered everywhere. The pills also work and Brand passes out. Armin lovingly and calmly puts the Brand in the bathtub and starts to wash it lovingly. He puts an old folding chair next to the bathtub, sits in front of it, and reads Star Trek novels to him for hours. In fact, except for a few gases that hit his own raw flesh, he does not reach his fantasy of eating his own flesh. In the early morning, Armin takes out his knife, grabs his right hand, kisses Brand's forehead, prays for him and wishes for his forgiveness, presses the knife into his fist and cuts Brand's throat. Armin completely separates Brand's head and buries the Bakshe in front of the door. He goes to his old camera, which he has prepared on a tripod. He hits the record bottom and goes to Brand's body, puts a bucket under his throat, and ties his legs and hands so that it doesn't hang. He starts tearing Brand's body from the sternum and starts removing his body parts. He puts the small pieces in warm water for 2 hours to make sure that the blood clots are gone. Then he hides in his chest freezer under a pile of pizza boxes, and Armin eats meat from it for 10 months. He says that the first time I wanted to eat a piece of the Brand, I decorated the dinner table with my most beautiful candles and put the best dinner service on the table. I took a piece of his back meat and fried it with potatoes and olive oil. I called my dish potato with side dishes. The first gas I put on the meat, I felt the inner connection with the Brand with all my being. It was very strange. My 40-year-old dream had come true. I did the rest of the meat every time. He enjoyed this taste so much that he is again looking for another volunteer in the web space. He writes about the details of eating the Brand in his new ad, and the young Austrian sees this announcement. Jovan is so surprised that he immediately informs the police. A female officer comes to Armin's house with prior notice. He asks Armin for permission and goes to the house. As soon as he returns home, he smells the food and goes to the cook's house and asks Armin, "What do you have for food?" Armin says it's an ordinary meal. The officer asks, "What kind of meat did you cook it with?" Armin says it's ordinary animal meat, but the police officer, while looking at the food, says, "I'm a housewife myself. I'm sure it's not animal meat." From the day of murder until 10 months later, when Armin was arrested, he had eaten nearly 20 kilos of the Brand's meat. The police found slaughtering tools and a 4-hour videotape from Armin's house and took it with him. This incident was so far-fetched that the German legislators had no law. This was the first cannibalism case in Germany. The first judge was dealing with a murder case, but he voluntarily asked to be killed and eaten, and this complicated the case. In January 2004, the German court sentenced him to 8 years in prison on charges of complicity in suicide. But this case was so strange that it became the first headline of all German media. The second trial will be held in 2005 under the pressure of psychologists. In this trial, only 19 minutes of the recorded video will be played, which will be noticed by the appeals judge, who will change the charge from partnership to murder for sexual reasons, who sentences him to life imprisonment. Armin says, I agree, I brought the brand and I did this. But like this, the brand is always with me whenever I go. Armin's face was calm and he had a smile on his face. And every time he explains about brand meat, he closes his eyes and smiles with pleasure. Armin claims to have eaten at least 800 people and lives all over Germany. He says that he likes to write the memories of his life, and the strangest thing is that when I was imprisoned, I became a vegetarian. Psychologists say that the root of this Armenian behavior is sexual and it's a kind of sexual taste. This behavior is also found in other creatures, such as the black spider that it's made after mating.